you want to invite to your next slumber party? Jason, Freddy, Michael, or just maybe the Driller Killer?
Sleep shirts with a flair for horror. Rock it out with Freddy, chill out with Jason, and pig out with Michael. Nighty nightmares, add some spinner to your next slumber party.
Announcing Nighty Nightmares sleep shirts, exclusively available at deaditesondeck.com.
Take out the trash. Why? There might be something delicious in all that slop. Put out the air fresheners. Place a clothespin on your nose. Let's dig into the cream of the crop. Celluloid trash. It stinks, but we must watch. Celluloid trash. It stinks, but we must watch.
Hey, gang, and welcome to yet another celluloid trash. And I got a fly flying around me that's driving me nuts. Hey, Tom. Hey, the poet. Hey, it's always good to see you, Tom, and see the poet and everybody else that wants to join in for these streams and videos that I do. Tom, you say you rewatch Videodrome. You said, boy, it's so atmospheric. And it certainly is. And it's not your, average garden variety type of horror film either. I don't even know if it's like, Cronenberg made a lot of body horror type of movies, but even I think those were off the scale. Cronenberg for me was just so out there with his movies, but they were so engaging. And Videodrome is definitely no different. But before we get into the topic of celluloid trash tonight, I will tell y'all that I did go to the doctor and I have been diagnosed with the flu. Steve is also sick. I'm not sure if he's got the flu or what, but my doctor advised me to not return to work until Wednesday. So, again, if I seem a little off of my game, I go back and forth from feeling a little bit better to not feeling so hot. So I'm feeling okay right now, but just to let you know, if I do seem a little bit off my game, just like I did last night. DePoe, you said, did you hear the dog from Good Boy won an award? I did not, but I think that is fantastic. I don't usually hear about dogs or animals in general in films getting awards. Hey, Gory Tiger. Hey, Kits. And thank you to Poet for telling me to get well soon. I am definitely trying. Um, before we get into the movies, Beyond the Seventh Door and Black Devil Doll from Hell, I did want to remind everybody of the stuff I've got up on the site currently or on the channel currently, and stuff that will be coming up here shortly. So, we have, I'll go back further a little bit. We have the all new Seductive Poison debut episode. We've got Evil Dead Chicks Top 10 Christmas Horror. And don't open till Christmas watch along that Hope joined me on. Evil Dead Chicks Slasher Fest New Year's Evil. My Path to Becoming a Positive Renegade, Chapter 3, Forgiveness is Key. Celluloid Trash from last week, covering the video Dead and Attack of the Beast Creatures. The debut of Horror Mania, where I talked about horror movies from 1896 to 1899. A very delayed Insomnia Cure for the years 1982 to 1983. Also a very delayed They're All Messed Up, covering Mary, Mary, Bloody Mary, and Strip Nude for Your Killer. There's also a Evil Dead Chicks Top 10 Don't horror films. And also a My Path to Becoming a Positive Renegade, Chapter 4, Don't Play the Blame Game. Some videos that I've got. I've got a movie munchies for Billy's Black Christmas Cookies. Final thoughts on Stranger Things since that series has ended. Coming soon to Deadites on Deck, where I was advertising Horror Mania. I have a Pick Your Poison taste test Stranger Things Gatorade Upside Down Citrus Cooler. Steve and I have our first We Watch Movies episode 8, first episode of the new year. And I just put on, it dropped today at midnight Eastern Time, a Midnight Confessions for Final Exam. And what I've got coming up, I've got a Horror Mania episode 2 covering horror films from 1900 to 1905 coming up tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Another Insomnia Cure for the years 1984 to 1985, also starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. They're All Messed Up on Thursday, talking about Psychic Killer and Psycho from Texas. And Friday, I have another Evil Dead Chicks Top 10 religious horror films. There's a Misery Watch Along coming up for Saturday, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Another My Path to Becoming a Positive Renegade for Sunday, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Chapter 5, Don't Spread Gossip as Gospel. There's a new Evil Dead Chicks Slumber Party coming up for February 13th. Evil Dead Chicks Be My Deadly Valentine Slumber Party, where hopefully several of us will be watching Schizoid together. So, and I've still got polls up for a couple of upcoming watch-alongs. There's a tie again between The Shining and Maniac, so if you guys and gals could help me break that tie. Also, there's one for Saturday, February 14th, which is Valentine's Day. My Bloody Valentine is in the lead right now with 73% of the votes. But that's what I've got up there now, and also what I've got coming up. And I thought Steve was asleep, bless his heart, but he must have woke up. I've got to subscribe to Kits' channel too, and I'm going to do that, Kits. I think my being ill has affected my brain a little bit. Yes, Tom, Schizoid is the Klaus Kinski movie. Tom, you say, I never saw an episode of Stranger Things. Oh, well, if you're thinking about watching it, Tom, I do warn that there are some spoilers for, in particular, season 5. You have a live on Saturday, kids? Oh, yeah, that's okay. You feel free to watch the replay for Misery whenever you get a chance. Klaus Kinski definitely was a wild man, and he liked the ladies. He was a little too handsy with the ladies, I'd heard. Um, but anyways, let's go ahead before I bore everybody to tears, and let's get to these movies. And speaking of being bored to tears, folks, Beyond the Seventh Door. I had high hopes for this thing. But first of all, I was kind of agitated because this was marketed as a horror movie, but to me, it's not a horror movie, folks. You have this character, it is a Canadian film production, which also made me have high hopes for it because horror and Canadian films, at least in the the 70s and 80s, were prime to me. The Poet, you said My Bloody Valentine. I hope that wins. That movie is great. Yeah, I kind of hope it wins too. And it looks like it's going to, unless somebody just comes in there and votes for X-Ray and or Valentine. Excuse me, folks. And of course, no matter which one wins, I will be drinking a Moosehead beer in honor of those fine folks that have passed away that were in My Bloody Valentine. I agree, kids. The rating systems are so funky through the years in horror movies. And this one, Beyond the Seventh Door, I watched on the Fossil app. It was supposed to be on Tubi, but I could not find it on Tubi. So maybe it's been taken off of there recently. It came out in 1987 and was directed by Bozadar Benedict. And folks, to me, this wasn't horror. And I felt, cheated because it was marketed everywhere from IMDb on that it was a horror movie and a thriller. Go figure. Am I back on the sauce again, Uncle Bill? Oh, well, I never really left the sauce, but I usually don't drink Moosehead unless it's Valentine's Day, and I usually try to drink one in honor of those folks that are no longer with us that were in My Bloody Valentine, and the fact that Moosehead is a Canadian beer. Tommy said, I was very impressed by a tiny movie called Bloody Song from 1982. I just saw it on YouTube. Is it Bloody Song or Blood Song? Because I've seen Blood Song, and I really liked it too. Steve has a copy of that movie. Tommy said, very atmospheric movie. I was surprised how interesting it was. Kids, you say it was cheesy to me, like the movie Winter Beast, Beyond the Seventh Door. Yeah, I guess I was just so pissed off that it was marketed as a horror movie, and I didn't really see it as a horror movie at all. Nah, I don't like. I'm too old to get shit asked anymore, Uncle Bill. Oh, blood! It's autocorrect. Yeah. Did anybody, speaking of autocorrect, did anybody ever go to that site? I don't know if it's still around, called Damn You Autocorrect. That site was hilarious. Autocorrect is a bloody hell. But anyway, Beyond the Seventh Door concerns a guy who just got out of jail. He's a thief who got caught red-handed and ended up in jail for a little bit. And he gets out of jail. His name is Boris, and he goes to see his ex-girlfriend, whom I don't know how he got this chick. Anyways, I'm not saying the guy's ugly. He's just kind of odd looking. And I believe he's Serbian. And somebody actually mentioned Tommy Wiseau in connection with this film, that they, Tommy Wiseau could really make some bad movies. But let me tell you something about Tommy Wiseau and The Room and stuff like that. They didn't try to market. I don't think they tried to market The Room as a horror movie. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. What I was majorly pissed off at is they marketed this film, Beyond the Seventh Door, as a horror film, and it was not a horror film to me. It was like a poor man's Indiana Jones. I'm going to get to that. Odd looking is a good descriptor. So Boris gets out of jail. He goes to see his ex-girlfriend. And at first she acts like she doesn't want anything to do with him. All right. But then the two of them concoct this plan to steal a bunch of money from her boss, who wants to make her dress like well, I think Boris says she looks like a hooker, and she's like, well, Preston likes me to dress this way, So they go, she knows how to get into Preston's castle. And literally it is a castle, but it's booby trapped. And so that's where I say it's like a poor man's Indiana Jones, because there were a lot of booby traps at Indiana Jones over the years in the Indiana Jones movies that he had to escape to be able to get what he was after. So we have spikes coming down at one point. We have water almost drowning the girl, Wendy, Boris's ex-girlfriend. But we really have nothing scary happening. We really have no violence. There's one dead body and he was drowned. There's no blood or anything. Wendy almost drowns and almost gets frozen to death simultaneously at the same time. And Boris, manages to save her at the last second. And yeah, and it's not a very long movie either, but it feels to me twice as long, an hour and 17 minutes. And there's no sex even. This is 18 plus. It shows 18 plus on Folsom. There's virtually no blood, no gory death scenes. Just, I don't know. This movie to me had absolutely nothing going for it. Now, I don't want to give away the ending. The ending does have a little bit of a twist to it, but I don't want to give that away in case there are some of you guys and gals that want to try watching this thing. Like I said, it is available on the Folsom app. You may be able to find it on Tubi or possibly YouTube, but I was not able to find it on Tubi. However, there was a pretty decent copy on Folsom. But, this is going to have to get one of my lowest ratings just because I was so mad at this movie. I was so mad at this movie for tricking me into watching it. And I don't even know why the guy put it in the awful awesome stuff. I mean, did he watch it? I figure he did, So I'm only going to give this one deadite out of 5. That's all I can give this movie. I'm sorry, but but there may be some of you guys and gals out there that like it better than I do, but I just was not impressed. The poet said, "Guess this will get a low rating." And Tom, you said looks like a Indiana Jones imitation. Yeah, a very bad Indiana Jones imitation, folks, in my opinion. All right, so moving on to the, and I didn't show y'all the poster. The poster also looks better than, or this is like the DVD rather. Um, doesn't that poster look badass, kind of? I mean, this is, or the DVD cover, doesn't it look badass? And probably one of the posters at least look like this. It looks like you were in for something at least, interesting. I got very bored with this movie, even though it was an hour and 17 minutes. And Intervision, which I believe is a Canadian company, they put out a few movies that I have, including Happy Birthday to Me, which is a much better Canadian horror movie than Beyond the Seventh Door. Yeah, a lot of times the posters always look better than the movies in those days. I think sometimes they knew they had a crap movie and they thought, well, we'll pull them in with this really cool poster or cover art for the VHS or the DVD or whatever. The poet says, I knew it. But moving on to the next film, which I also don't have a physical copy for, is from 1984, directed by Chester Turner, the same guy that did Tales from the Quaddead Zone, which I will be covering on this show at some point. Black Devil Doll from Hell. Was it a nightmare or was it for real? Now, okay, this is crazy. This is low budget, but I had a lot more fun with Black Devil Doll from Hell than I did Beyond the Seventh Door. I ain't even gonna lie about that. Tommy said I could make a top 10 of those Barnum posters right now. Yep. Uncle Bill, you say, LOL, that damn movie. Yeah, but Uncle Bill, I have a lot more fun with Black Devil Doll from Hell than I did Beyond the Seventh Door. I wanted to throw tomatoes at my television screen with Beyond the Seventh Door. But Black Devil Doll from Hell concerns a very religious woman who will not give herself to a man until after she's married, until she comes afoul of the Black Devil Doll from Hell that she finds in an old secondhand shop or pawn shop or collectible shop or whatever you want to call it. Why she wants this damn thing, I don't know, because it's ugly as sin. But she takes it home and it seduces her and encourages her to bring men home to have sex with them and then kill them. Again, why she gets so obsessed with, maybe because she's sex deprived, I don't know. But she can't get enough from the Black Devil Doll from Hell, folks. And as Joe Bob says, I know, if you know what I mean, and I think you do, when I say she can't get enough from the Black Devil Doll from Hell. Yeah. This one is just so off the wall crazy that it's not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I do have a lot of fun with it. And I did not go back and rewatch it because I've rewatched it here recently and felt like I could talk about it without rewatching it again. What a bad doll, you say, Tom. Uncle Bill, you said, remember that awful remake they did with that asshole from Rotten Cotton? I do remember it, but Uncle Bill, honestly, I don't think that I've ever actually watched that one unless I watched it and I forgot. And, I don't think I would forget. But yeah, this one I enjoy. It's bad in a lot of ways, but it's one of those that I just can't even though it's so crazy, even though it's so off the wall, I just can't turn away from it. I gotta watch it, and that's how I felt the first time I watched this one. Well, Tom, that's a good question. You say, how did these crazy movies get financed? Now, the Canadian film, there was a time when Canadian films, they had, they were called tax shelter movies, and um, anybody and everybody could make a movie with with help from these tax shelter monies. Um, but I don't think Black Devil Doll from Hell is a Canadian film. Um, but sometimes there were rich guys that either they were rich or their family was rich, and they were able to make these low budget cheapies, you know, and were able to churn them out. And for some reason, things like Black Devil Doll from Hell and Tales from the Quad Zone, both done by Chester Turner, that either become so elusive, and by word of mouth, people just like, have you heard about Chester Turner's Tales from the Quad Zone? Which Tales from the Quad Zone is, if I'm remembering correctly, a very elusive film. So hopefully I can be able to find a copy of it to watch. And I think also Tales from the Quad Zone was one that went for a lot of money on VHS. I'm not sure about Black Devil Doll from Hell. Probably by crazy producers. In some cases, yes, and if not crazy, just willing to take a chance on a lot of different types of things. Tommy said Dino De Laurentiis was a very successful producer. He was also a bit crazy. And Tommy said you love characters like that. So, if I had to choose the better film of the two for tonight's episode, it would definitely be Black Devil Doll from Hell. And I'm going to give it 4 Deadites out of 5 just because this damn thing is so crazy and so off the wall. And like I said, I literally couldn't turn my eyes away, even if I had wanted to, right? The poet knows me well because the poet said this gets a 4 or 3 is my guess. I think because the poet's seen me review a lot of these different films, and he's pretty much on par with what I, choose for my ratings. So, gang, as I always say, that I don't intend for these kind of review type shows to be very long. I like to get to the nitty gritty, talk about the plot of the movie, and give a rating in this case on these. So, Black Devil Doll from Hell, I believe you can find that on YouTube. In fact, let me see where we can find Black Devil Doll from Hell, because I think I was able to watch it pretty easily the last time I watched it. Let's take a look here. This one only gets a 3.3. I'm going to go back and look and see what Beyond the Seventh Door got. I don't see this showing up anywhere to watch. Let's check YouTube here. Okay, so let's see here. Where in the heck did I watch that thing at? Okay, it is, well, no, that's commentary for it. Oh my gosh. Somebody actually did the Black Devil Doll from Hell joins the cast of Family Matters. That's hilarious. or I think it's hilarious. Some people might not find it. But I would do a search, folks, because I know that at one time I was able to watch this damn thing. Even do a Google search and see if you can find Black Devil Doll from Hell full movie or something like that. Well, thank you, kids. You say I like the way you do the reviews to the point. Yes, because I just don't feel like you should just, beat a dead horse with anything. Get to the point, talk about the main points, give her a rating if you want, and, move on from there. And I don't tend to make these unless I'm talking about more films. But if I'm talking about only one or two films, about 30 minutes or so is a good time frame, 25 or 30 minutes. Tommy said the best small movie channel on YouTube. If you're referring to me, well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. But I guess I'm going to tie things up for tonight. And y'all be sure, if you can, to tune in to Horror Mania tomorrow night, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And all the programming I've got upcoming, if at all possible. And if you can't, be sure to watch it on the replay, right? So I want to thank Tom and the Poet, and Gory Tiger and Kits, and Uncle Bill for being in here and hanging out with me as I covered the two films for this episode of Celluloid Trash. Tommy said, for example, you pointed out several things about Videodrome that I never noticed, and I saw it 10 times. Well, thank you, Tom. I didn't even realize that I did that for anybody, so I appreciate you letting me know that. But as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. Oh, and I wanted to tell you, if before I got to that, I meant to say, if you were watching along with this and either didn't feel comfortable getting in the chat, or you were using a device where you're not able to chat while you're watching, like watching on your TV, I thank you as well. And for those of you that will watch this on the replay, I thank you as well. And now I am officially off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Monday night, folks. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll see everybody next time.